For years, companies often focused on domestic markets before attempting to expand internationally. Today, more and more businesses are skipping this step in favor of a born global approach. The manufacturer of choice for many firms has been China, which is expected to pass the United States by 2015 as the world's largest economy. A number of factors have fueled China's growth: a massive labor force, vast natural resources, a domestic market of 1 billion people who are increasingly able to demand better products in larger quantity, and a government which has focused its policies and infrastructure towards international exports. Chris Arbeitman is a U.S. importer of parts like power cords for computers and appliances. The parts are made by a manufacturer in the Zhejiang province, shipped over the Pacific Ocean to Los Angeles, and distributed by truck and train to American manufacturers, all more cheaply than the parts can be made for in the United States.
Well, in my product category of wire and cable, there's very few wire and cable manufacturers left in the United States. China is the primary manufacturing country for those goods, and they've got it scaled to the point that they can produce it cheaper than anybody else in the world can produce it.
Since China joined the World Trade Organization, an international body that supervises and advocates more liberal international trade, it has been under pressure to change some of its more anti-competitive policies, like importing limits. This opens it to trade with more nations, but also reduces its advantage in those markets. Still, China is such an attractive market with its cheap goods and huge consumer base that most countries and companies have been willing to play by China's rules for many years. Its comparative advantage in labor relative to other economies is just too strong.
China, they've controlled their costs through various means, and the biggest one of those has been manipulation of the currency. And giving subsidies back to manufacturers who export goods. So I'm able to take advantage of those subsidies in turning around and being more competitive in the marketplace.
But China's comparative advantage in labor may be diminishing for China and its global competitors. Labor once flowed from central China to the coasts for manufacturing jobs. As China's standard of living increases, however, and with the massive subsidies the Chinese government now pays to agricultural workers in its heartland, workers are demanding higher wages for manufacturing jobs, and factory labor is becoming harder to find. All this drives up costs.
That's affected my business, along with the revaluation of the currency. As it continues to get repegged, it makes it more attractive to look to other parts of the world.
Countries like Cambodia and Vietnam have had serious challenges in the past, suffering everything from war to poverty. But like Japan before them, they are acquiring an advantage in the marketplace by building infrastructure, educating a labor force, and encouraging international investors to build factories within their borders.
Everything's new. They're going after business that never existed for them, and typically the U.S. government will do things to help out those emerging countries, in the sense that maybe lower duty rates for importing goods from those countries.
At the same time, one might wonder why Chris doesn't simply work with firms located in Mexico, since they are so much closer. The answer is, those firms just don't exist in any significant quantity.
There hasn't been a lot of emphasis put on commodity products, more technologically advanced products, other than U.S. or global companies that have gone in and set up specific manufacturing in Mexico. There isn't that open tooling, open buying option.
In addition, Mexico has been plagued by drug-related violence.
In the past 3 to 5 years, Mexico's become increasingly unstable with crime and the drug trade, and so as that's increased, I haven't even considered it.
In the end, it is ironic that the economy most poised to eclipse the United States in terms of size, productivity, and growth may itself be slowing down due to some of the same problems that have plagued the U.S., like the demand for higher wages and the outsourcing of labor to other countries. Countries, incidentally, with emerging economies that are also born global.
I think most, if not all, emerging economies that are emerging, and if it's manufacturing for consumable goods, it's with a global purpose, born global. It's not for a domestic market.